Reading. It's a skill that most people take for granted.
If you rearrange these 8 letters just a bit.
Yet for some of us, reading is a daily struggle.
Class has a...
The words are not going in their head the way it goes in our heads.
I would stumble over words. I wouldn't know how to pronounce words. And to be honest, that, I don't know, kids tend to pick on me because of that certain disability I have.
I was getting really frustrated. Like, I'd get in long fights or something with my parents, like fights that would make the whole family be like crying.
I knew I was smart, but there again, I felt stupid because there was so much of my life I had to hide.
About 1 in 10 of us suffers from the reading disorder known as dyslexia.
Some wondering. Wounded thing.
Its effect on people's lives can be profound.
I remember popping into my mind sort of this voice that said, Gaston, you can't even read. Why are you up here giving a state address?
Good. Traffic. What's traffic? Excellent traffic.
How well kids learn to read and how far behind they are, it's a public health issue because it affects everything that happens to them for the rest of their lives.
Major funding for this program has been provided by the Arison Family Foundation. Additional funding has been provided by the John R. O'Shea Foundation.
Bruce Jenner has set a new decathlon world record.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce Jenner. In 1976, I won the Olympic decathlon. Now, competing in the games was an enormous challenge for me, but it paled in comparison to my struggle with dyslexia. Growing up with a learning disability can make school a frightening place, and it was for me. I remember dreading the moment when it was my turn to read out loud in front of the class. Now, watching my classmates learn and excel while I tried and failed crushed my self-esteem. But you know what? I'm not alone. This is what school is like for countless children, and it is a major reason why so many young people eventually drop out. But dyslexia shouldn't be an obstacle to success. You're about to meet some remarkable people, young and old, who are overcoming dyslexia. And at the end of this show, experts will give us some important advice. If you're dyslexic or know someone who is or might be, please watch.
We must prepare a rising generation to fill the jobs of the 21st century.
In its attempt to reform education, the federal government is putting more pressure on schools to perform.
Under the No Child Left Behind Act, standards are higher, test scores are on the rise,
but as the bar is raised for everyone, students with reading problems continue to fall behind. More than 50% of the students from many inner-city schools read well below their grade level. Many of them are on the path to dropping out.
Boys and girls, this is a beautiful, beautiful fall morning. I want you to remember the code of conduct.
At Edgewood Elementary School in Baltimore, Maryland, some test scores have been on the rise.
Tiandre, I need you to move back to your area. He's not paying attention.
Yet not everyone has been learning to read.
The flapjacks are big. Rex gets a what if with Rex?
My kids are in the 4th and 5th grade. Several of my children came to me and they were reading pre-K second month. The only thing they really could do was recognize letters. They had no idea what sounds did, how sounds work together, none at all.
Some 3 million kids in the U.S. are in special education classrooms like this one because they can't read. Many of them are dyslexic.
Backpack.
Like many dyslexics, Kari Smith has above-average intelligence, yet as a 5th grader, he still cannot read.
Rip. Very good, Kari. I remember testing him, and I told him to spell the word hot, and he said F and some other letters. I never heard the other letters because I was shocked that he kept saying F. Hopefully I can get Kari up to at least the 3rd grade level. And who's next?
Me.
Shayla is another very intelligent child. Shayla doesn't try to sound out words. She just figures she doesn't know it and she doesn't try.
When I would read, I would have it going, then I would get to a big word and skip it because I didn't know what it meant. Then I would say, I'm going to be dumb. Then I would try to think of something positive.
Whenever anyone comes into my classroom, they're always amazed on how bright these children are. They can do comprehension skills. They know the main idea, they know drawing conclusions, making inferences, they can do that if I read it to them. But when we had certain tests, we couldn't read to them. And they would get frustrated, crying, wouldn't want to do the test, tantrums. And I was frustrated because I did not have time in the curriculum to teach them how to read.
In an attempt to help its neediest students, Baltimore's public school system is trying Project Read. In select classrooms, reading specialists like Marianne Povell are showing special education teachers how to teach reading.
What is working in regular education for the majority of kids simply isn't going to work with these kids. But that's not the end of the road. There are other ways to get the information across.
Over the next 6 months, Marianne will give them strategies to break down words and decode language.
Swoop between all those vowels. Good. Ah, we never did this before. You have to make sure that you're respecting them and letting them know right from the get-go that I know that this is taking you back, and I know that you're bright, but I need to take you back and make sure I fill in all those black holes. A syllable is a word or a part of a word with one talking vowel. Good, Alfonso.
Research has shown that the best instruction is systematic, intense, and should involve the whole body.
H-C-L.
Stop. Large muscles, don't forget. Once you get it in there, it's like setting it in stone.
H-A-B-E.
It's vibrating, that's right. So what letter is it going to be? Say.
Grave. Pot would be po. Pot.
This type of instruction is what reading specialists call an intervention. For some, this could be the last chance to learn the fundamentals of reading and writing.
That's as high as you go.
My concern is everyday life. I'm worried about them going into the workplace and not being able to read the application. I know when they leave me, if I can get them at least 2 to 3 grade levels above where they were, I know that they have a chance.
Now I'm watching Bonnie.
We don't have a whole lot of time. That's one of those things that makes you lose sleep. We don't have a lot of time. They're kids.
Special education teachers face students with a variety of learning issues. Now, dyslexia is by far the most common. Simply defined, dyslexia means difficulty with language. And that means different things to different people.
It's kind of like trying to read something in a funhouse mirror. You got to figure out how to grab this one letter and figure out which place in this word it's supposed to go.
From kindergarten, I could do shapes, I could do colors, I knew my ABCs, I could count to 100 like a normal kid. But when it came down to reading, I couldn't do it. It was the small words. I couldn't read it, the, that.
I have a speaking vocabulary that is considerably smaller than my reading vocabulary.
A majority, 5 justices, found that there was at least a reasonable probability that Governor Bush's side would prevail.
Simply because the words don't connect in my mind in a way that I can pronounce them right.
Dyslexia has been around ever since people started reading, though it was only first diagnosed about a century ago. In the U.S., a physician named Samuel Orton dubbed the affliction strephosymbolia, meaning twisted symbols. This term wouldn't stick, but Orton's name would become synonymous with the treatment of dyslexia.
Well, first of all, he recognized the fact that a lot of these children who were having trouble reading, spelling, were children of good intelligence and children who worked in school, not who loafed.
Orton also realized that this condition wasn't rare and that a significant part of the population was actually reading disabled. At his clinic in rural Iowa, Orton began to devise ways of helping them.
He figured out a lot of treatments. He tried a lot of treatments. Some were good, some weren't good at all. But what his main thrust was of course, phonetic, sounds. And at that point, you had people who were kind of down on that sort of teaching.
When much of the medical profession believed dyslexia was a visual problem, Orton pursued his own ideas. He wouldn't get it all right. His theory that boys suffered more than girls would be proven wrong. But Orton understood that dyslexia was neurologically based and that it could be inherited. Most importantly, he figured out how it could be treated.
Because of his work, hundreds, thousands, probably millions of kids have been able to complete their education and lead productive lives. And that's about as good a legacy as you can leave.
Despite Orton's research and a growing awareness of dyslexia, the condition is still largely misunderstood.
Dyslexia sounds like a sleeping disorder.
I don't know too much about dyslexia. I know it is a sickness, and hopefully one day there will be a cure.
Dyslexia is when you see something, but it looks flipped around.
It's when you mix up letters and read words backwards.
A lot of people hear, oh, you're dyslexic. Oh, you're one of those guys that reads backwards. And that's not true. We always do wonder, what is a dyslexic seeing? They're seeing what you see. The difficulty is deeper than that, neurologically deeper than that.
How the neurons in the brain connect to one another is what gives us all different strengths and weaknesses. Many of us are simply not wired for reading and writing.
The difficulty with dyslexia is making the connection between letters and the sounds they make, and being able to look at a letter and know what sound should I utter out of my mouth.
Language is a complex code. To decipher words, we must connect different combinations of letters to the sounds they make. A process that becomes automatic for most people is muddled by dyslexia.
So a normal reader who's looking at text, the words just literally jump off the page into their head because they've totally automated word recognition. So what happens to a dyslexic or a person with reading disability when they look at text?
What I want to do today is I thought it might be good just for all of us to actually read the play. Now we probably won't.
Well, there's going to be a bunch of words on that page that look very foreign and strange. They have to do something to recognize them, but they can't do the thing you would do, which is you would sound them out.
But I got a good deal on mackerel.
Instead, what are they going to do? They can't decode it as reliably, and so they're going to guess. And they'll guess based on the first letter or so.
I think it would be fun for you, 3 Americans, to condense all English history.
For many, overcoming dyslexia will require a special learning environment. Some young people will leave their home, family, and friends to find it.
This is our first day of school, and we're getting the boys out for breakfast. All right, you look dapper.
The Gal School is a boys' boarding school outside Buffalo, New York.
Make sure our electronics and fans are off before we head out.
It is the oldest prep school in the nation for boys with dyslexia.
So far, so good. We'll see if I have to try to do it a few more times.
These are bright kids who often come from families who have a tradition of college education and achievement. Welcome to Senior RL. They come here with a lot of stress. And they are worried that, you know, my older brother went to college, he's on his way to med school. My older sister is a lawyer, and here am I, the failure of the family.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, P, Q, R.
Hold on, let me stop you. How about if you not sing it and go a little...
I gotta sing it though. I've been doing this since like first grade.
I know, and that...
School is a dangerous place for students with dyslexia because they're asked to do publicly what they don't do well. Most of our students have experienced school frustration and/or failure before GAU. A lot of boys have gone to 2 or 3 different schools.
How do you make an H sound without the
I don't know.
Say the
At
word.
my old school, I did sit in the back of the class, and like I'd end up goofing around with my friends because, I mean, I didn't really have the initiative to learn.
What makes oil a valued resource?
It's worth money.
What was the next key characteristic of civilization?
Advanced technology. Complex cities.
Complex cities.
When there's 5 students in the class, and the teachers are constantly asking you to defend your answers, to speak in complete sentences, in an environment like this, there's nowhere to hide.
Some 125 private schools across North America are, like GAU, fully designed to teach students with dyslexia. Still, getting these boys to master something that's given them nothing but trouble won't be easy.
Frankly speaking, we've got to lay down the law and establish rules, guidelines, and expectations very early on in the school year so the boys know what's expected.
Every student has a different job, what they do in every building. I'll get used to it, I guess.
At the core of GAU's academic curriculum is RL, or Reconstructive Language. It begins with simple phonics, the connection between letters and the sounds that they make, connections that do not come easily to the dyslexic mind.
When we work with students who have dyslexia, the biggest thing we want to do is teach them the phonograms or the letters of the alphabet and connect them to the sounds.
How many vowel sounds are there for the letter A? Think of your, don't answer yet, filter it, think of your RL cards, there's 5. And hates a small spot. And you'll get all the vowel sounds, short A, long A.
Once the students begin to memorize these phonograms and know what sounds they make, is to begin to use it when they see a word that may have those same letters in it.
B, bet, b, et, b.
B, bet, b, et, b. P, pun, p, un, p.
How about the second one, Jordan?
D, dog, d, d.
They tend to want to cover up the fact that it's difficult for them. But in a school like this, it's really important for them to get to a place where they feel safe and they know that this is where we're going to work on it. Everybody's in the same boat.
Through systematic instruction and intense drilling, these students will relearn the fundamentals of language. But a rigorous schedule that includes nighttime study halls and Saturday classes won't work for everybody.
It depends on a huge variable. How much is a student going to invest himself? When this reading becomes frustrational, does he have the hide to stick it out to the end?
For kids like Jordan Walker, GAU offers a chance to transform the high school experience.
I was getting really frustrated. Like, I'd get in long fights or something with my parents, like fights that would make the whole family be like crying. I mean, it was just homework, but I didn't want to do it, so I fought.
Many of our kids come to us not having been diagnosed they were dyslexic until they were in 9th grade, 8th grade, or even 10th grade. And that is a tough pill to swallow.
I was diagnosed this summer as I was taking some tests. They came up that I had a mild dose of dyslexia and that the school I was at couldn't help me. It really was a different feeling, like I can't even explain it. It was really deep, kind of, if you want to call it that.
We've had a lot of difficult times, many things that I regret. We're really anxious to see our son, but in a different light.
I want to prove to them that I can succeed and that I have a chance. That I can bring up my grades and I'm not going to be a failure.
A growing awareness of dyslexia means that more and more students are finding the help that they need. I guarantee that wasn't the case when I was in school back in the 50s. I remember feeling hurt when teachers chalked up my reading problems to laziness. Now back then, even when dyslexia was diagnosed, there was little understanding of what to do about it. Here's one person's remarkable story.
But I've never seen anybody else that had dyslexia. I didn't know what they looked like. You know, I didn't know if it was a disease that only I had, and I would look at myself and think, well, I look all right. My parents was told that I was always going to be slow. Find something she likes to do so she can make a career out of it. And back then, you know, that was a big thing for somebody to go to beauty school and fix hair for a living. It was a good occupation. But there was more I wanted.
In her 50s, having become aware that she was dyslexic, Sandy Dillon volunteered to be a subject in a scientific study on reading. With other adult dyslexics, Sandy underwent an 8-week reading intervention.
Start up here in this top row and name all the letters in this row and all the way to the bottom.
It was a lot of drilling, a lot of studying that first 8 weeks, and I guess training another part of my brain, you know, to make it all fit.
The study also involved a group of dyslexic students from the Demystifing School in Baltimore.
When you get your vocab test, I want you to fold it in half. Number 8 is lake. Number 9, mineral.
For both groups, reading instruction was only part of the experiment. Scientists wanted to study the brains of these dyslexics to see how the interventions may have changed them.
With brain imaging, we can go in and ask questions about what are the areas that are involved in reading and how do they change as a result of the intervention.
Do you have any jewelry on or anything? No. Okay, and you just spread your arms like in the airport.
At Georgetown University, subjects like 5th grader Patrick Price were scanned with functional magnetic resonance imaging.
If you take an adult who's had a lifelong reading problem, like Sandy, the ways that the brain may change as a result of an intensive intervention may be somewhat different than if you take a younger child, where the brain may be somewhat more malleable.
Okay. So just so you know, just if you see any words with a tall letter, even if it's the funny-looking letters or the real letters.
A screen inside the scanner displays word games designed to activate the brain's reading centers.
We make the assumption that where there's blood flow going to the brain, that the neurons in that area of the brain are firing and are active.
fMRI scans of normal readers show that most people engage 3 main areas of the brain for reading. Scans of dyslexic readers show a reliance on different areas.
People with dyslexia don't seem to engage some of these posterior areas of the brain as much as they should, so we're seeing an underactivity during the reading process.
But scans of the dyslexic subjects taken after the interventions and composited here show brains that have rewired themselves for reading.
So we're going to start from one side of your brain and we're going to work our way through to the other, okay?
The areas in the left hemisphere, in the back of the brain, that are important in reading now become more engaged as a result of the intervention. And so if you're doing an imaging study, of course it's wonderful news if you saw that children made gains.
See how it's kind of fuzzy in between? That's also the cerebral spinal fluid. It's in between the two halves of your brain.
Where's all your knowledge in the brain?
Where's all your knowledge?
Yeah.
Well,
Sandy, come on in. I want to show you something I think you're going to be really interested in.
Okay.
Would adult brains like Sandy's be capable of as much change?
Schooling, after you'd gone to school for 8 full weeks and worked really hard, we found that that posterior left hemisphere area was activated normally. As a group, you are doing more with your left hemisphere and you're also doing more with your right hemisphere. Some of these.
The good news is that as an adult, you still can induce change. So it's hard work getting there, but you can make gains.
At first it was a shock, and then it just started hitting me. I have really aced the best test of all, you know? It's like, wow. People used to tell me when you'd go to the movies, they'd say, oh, you got to read the book. The book's better than the movie. And I'm thinking, there is no way the book can be better than the movie. You know, you see the scenery, you see all the stuff. But that's true. The book is better. If I had had this knowledge when I was a teenager or in my 20s, there's no telling where I would be today. But now I'm older, and I still want to do these things.
With only 2 years' experience in politics, Sandy is running for office.
The next 2 years, I want to work for this town. I'm Sandy Dillon. I'm running for town commissioner this year. I want to have a vote in what's taking place on this island. I'm running for town commissioner. Don't forget to vote tomorrow. Y'all be sure and vote tomorrow. Don't forget to vote.
Who are you?
Sandy Dillon. I'd like for you to have a bookmark anyway.
All right.
How are you?
All right, how are you doing?
Good. Well, since I love to read, I'm handing out bookmarks to everybody so they'll remember to vote for me and read. Whiting?
Yeah, it's a whiting.
It's good eating it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I clean all my fish. All of them. And I would have never gotten into anything like this. I would have been afraid, whoa, what if they asked me to read something? Or, oh my gosh, what if they asked me to write something down? But now, I don't worry about it because I can do all that. It's like I have a door that has been unbolted and unlocked, and I'm pushing through it.
It's happening. Adults like Sandy Dillon are relearning the basics and reading fluently for the first time. With that said, learning to read, like learning a foreign language, is easier when you're young. In fact, some people think that by addressing it early, the effects of dyslexia for some children can be prevented. Here's a story of one community that's trying to do just that.
All right, Paige, look at these pictures.
Paige Cuesta is 4. Even though she hasn't learned to read yet, she's being screened for dyslexia.
Find the letter that makes a T sound. Find the one that rhymes with wheel.
Paige has risk factors. Her father, Pedro, and her brother, Gabe, are both dyslexic.
Do you think if we put it there, do you think it'll fall right straight down and go through there?
I think we're here for the early screening to start off on the right foot. With Gabe, we didn't have the insight that this is affording us with Paige.
At Nemours Children's Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, psychologist Dr. Laura Baylett counsels families like the Cuestas every day.
And again, she's coming along very well with letter names and letter sounds and print awareness, and so I think those are very good indicators for her. So we'll be happy to rescreen her in several months or at the end of the year and see how things are progressing.
Okay. She's very
With a family history of dyslexia, the Cuestas are doing the smart thing and screening Paige early. But this isn't the norm.
Unfortunately, right now, dyslexia is often missed in the early school grades when we would have the best opportunity for treating it most effectively.
What am I holding? A sink.
Undiagnosed and untreated, dyslexia plays a big part in some dismal statistics.
In Jacksonville, as well as in Florida, over a third of our children in 3rd grade are failing reading. In 9th grade, it's over 65% who are failing reading.
What kind of futures do they have?
And then who technically is the attorney on the second case?
Judge Karen Cole, a 10-year veteran of Jacksonville's juvenile courts, shares the same feelings.
Do you read and write well?
You can't be on the bench very long without seeing the impact of illiteracy on juvenile delinquency and on crime.
I sentence you to 91 days in the Duval County Jail, but give you...
I would see teenagers who were direct filed into adult felony court, and almost without exception, they had trouble reading the very plea forms that they would sign by which they would be sent to jail or prison. Their attorneys would have to read it to them.
As law enforcement officers, we see children that are disruptive.
Jacksonville's police are also targeting illiteracy.
We're trying to get the underlying root cause of the problem. We feel that, and I think that studies have shown, that a lot of this is tied into learning disabilities, as such as dyslexia.
For many older kids in Jacksonville who may have already experienced reading failure, there's the Police Athletic League. It's teaching more than just sports.
You can do a lot of good things for children, and we offer a lot of good programs. But the fact of the matter is, what greater gift can you give a child than the ability to read?
Now, the psychologist, the judge, and the policeman have come together to find a way to help poor readers before they start to fail.
And thinking that if we could put something together for the summer for some of the kids, that would be great.
They're here to plan a citywide campaign to prevent the effects of dyslexia.
I think dyslexia is very much a public health issue. It has tremendous implications for individual child health. It also has tremendous implications as these poor readers become adults for the economic health and the medical health of a community.
But this team isn't just aiming to fix the city schools. Their plan is more ambitious.
The main focus of our program is to screen rising kindergartners to find those that we believe are at risk for dyslexia, and our goal is to be able to offer that at no charge to the families to 100% of the rising kindergartners in Duval County by 2008, and there are about 12,000 of them a year.
As I read this book, I want you to listen for rhymes.
Across Jacksonville, nearly 2,000 preschoolers have already been screened for dyslexia.
Bah! Sheep find blocks, sheep with clocks.
That rhymes.
We do know the critical language skills that subserve the development of reading, and we can measure those skills in 4-year-olds, and we can also teach those skills to 4-year-olds.
Point to the one that rhymes or sounds the same as bow.
Bank.
This isn't a diagnosis of dyslexia. It's a way to identify kids who may need early help.
We do believe that for many of these children, we can either prevent a full-blown dyslexia from emerging or at least lessen the severity of it by getting started working with them early.
Slug rhymes with mug. And children, what is this? Oh, what is this? Mug. Jojo, good job. Real loud. Everybody say mug. Mug rhymes with...
An entire city confronts dyslexia. It seems people are finally beginning to recognize dyslexia as a serious public health issue. Now, despite the clear negative impact on society, you'll sometimes hear individuals talk about dyslexia as a positive thing. It's like a gift. Now, for me, in many ways, it has been. Constantly being challenged by dyslexia made me mentally stronger, which I believed helped me win an Olympic gold medal. Hey, we all compensate for our weaknesses. But there's a theory that says dyslexia may actually give some people special talents and abilities. I like that. We explore that now. For some dyslexics, the term learning disability is all relative. The roster of achievers who are or may have been dyslexic is a dream team of ability.
The big mystery in our field is why are there so many dyslexic people that have gone through difficult times during their school years? Why are they successful later on in life?
Your Honor, I think there are two points to that. First, in a way, I think my learning disability has helped my success. But I think the greatest strength that I have in a courtroom that is related to my dyslexia is my communication skills, because I speak without notes, I speak in a very conversational tone, I speak with the juries like they're sitting with me, like you are in a room.
Do you solemnly swear that you'll support Virginia?
Some experts believe that the neurological wiring that causes dyslexia may also create neurological advantages.
I'm around a lot of people much smarter than I am, but I also understand that I've developed other capabilities. I'm much more intuitive than most people. I think I work harder than most people.
Many said that this was an impossible dream, but here I am, thanks to you.
Anyways, it was a great gift to me.
Every talent we have, every weakness we have, every strength we have is dependent of how the neurons in the brain are connected with each other. Now, I would say that they are connected in a way that also produces special abilities in people with dyslexia.
We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, which was scene 4.
Oh, remember in Act 1 you said...
Yeah, that's right. I said I'd give the audience a chance to ask any serious questions about American history.
There are many gifts that our students bring to the school that we help them develop and that they can take into college and life. They might be gifted with a paintbrush or on the potter's wheel. Their ability to navigate technology, to get into the nuts and bolts of hardware. Our boys see it better than others.
Come on, Gal, let's go, fellas. Easy, easy.
Way to go, Gal.
To test the theory of dyslexia and talent, one scientific study compared normal readers and dyslexics.
There was one test, an impossible figure test, where you looked at these illusions of shapes that you really couldn't build in the real world. And dyslexic students were asked, is this an impossible figure or is it possible? And it was a striking finding that top performers on that test were consistently the dyslexic students.
These results support the theory that many dyslexics have enhanced spatial processing abilities, a talent for grasping the big picture and thinking outside the box.
Keep him. Yeah, just keep him on there, okay? So just get one person out of it.
Set yours onto this one.
How you gonna get us though?
Now you're gonna walk back. Hold that board up.
In the past, such abilities would have served people well.
For a long time in human history, only a tiny minority of people in the world were readers. So dyslexia didn't exist until we started asking people to have pretty much near universal literacy. That's why dyslexia is an increasing problem, because we have an increasingly technological society.
As the world accelerates into the future, could it be the dyslexic minds that have the advantage?
As we need to process information in more and more sophisticated ways, as computers become more and more powerful, it'll be the brains that have those capabilities of visual spatial processing that will really excel.
The reality is that society now demands more literacy skills than ever before. Children who don't learn to read and write well are destined to underachieve.
If we don't do something intensive and focused and effective with those kids, they will get on this low trajectory of progress and the gap will widen between them and their peers, and that gap does not close.
Good, one more time.
Gradually, specialized reading instruction is being brought to those who learn differently.
GHIJKLMNOPQR.
In Helena Ortiz Smith's special education class in Baltimore, there's undeniable proof that it's working.
And Chad.
I'm feeling excited at Project Read came, because now I can sound out stuff better.
Okay, Shayla, how did you spell stuck?
S-T-U-C-K. It's very easy all of a sudden.
How did you know to use CK at the end of that word? You're right.
Because it came after a short vowel.
Perfect answer. Very nice.
I can see Shayla going up 2 to 3 grades in a year. And when we do Project Read, she's focused. And she doesn't want anyone to talk. She doesn't want you to breathe. She just wants to hear what she needs to learn.
Because big words, I can sound them out real fast. Not even real fast. They can come right to my mind, and I can think of what she already taught me, use my sounds, and I have the word.
When he arrived in Helena's class as a 4th grader, Khari Smith could not read.
Problem. Excellent. Can you use it in a sentence?
During the 6-month reading intervention, he's jumped 3 grade levels.
Just to sit next to him and listen to him read, it was just an astounding event.
Now I can read like chapter books, like magazines and stuff. Problem?
Excellent. Can you use it in a sentence, please?
I have a problem.
You don't have many, as far as I can see. That's very nice. Go sit down.
Before Project Read, and I don't think I really knew how to teach them how to read.
So let's do it together. Song.
And I taught them something, but now I'm teaching them how to read, and I know I'm teaching them how to read. Yes, I do love them. I do love them.
Girl.
I would get this right here. You're just going to put them in a salad.
For countless adults, dyslexia is a burden they hide from the world.
I can't look back and be sad that I struggled. I would have loved the chance to have gone to college. I didn't have the chance, but I have the chance to do something now. You can't go in unless you shake her hand.
Good morning.
I take you on the way out.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming out.
Adults like Sandy Dillon are proof that reading intervention can transform one's life.
It's never too late for anybody to learn. I know it's not going to be taken away from me tomorrow. It's here to stay. I knew y'all wouldn't let us down. Did you vote?
I sure did.
Did I get your vote?
Yes, you did.
Thank you, Mom. So, if this doesn't work out, I'll still be doing something. But it'll be higher goals for myself. 2 years from now, maybe I will run for mayor.
Actually, it's a new style, you know. It's been a new gal dress code. Yeah, everyone has to wear their tie like this.
At the end of the fall term, the boys at Gow have settled into boarding school life.
Cookies. Chocolate chip cookies.
It has been a big relief finding a lot of people. Same place I am, but I mean, we're no different. We don't stand out in any way, just we struggle a little more.
In the classroom, reconstructive language is building confidence and changing attitudes.
G, gun, gym.
C, cat, city.
G is soft when followed by E, I, or Y.
School can be a lot of fun. The RL is helping me catch on, figuring out what the word is, what it means.
Reading's getting a lot easier. I mean, I can tell I'm getting faster. I'm going through bigger books really quick.
I needed to learn how to learn. I needed to learn how my mind works.
Dyslexia doesn't go away. We train our boys that this is a lifelong learning style. A Gow student will realize and accept that he's going to have to work harder, longer, use more self-discipline than his non-dyslexic peer. It's just the way it is.
We expect all of you to receive admission to college and university.
For most of its 148 boys, GAO offers a chance to achieve something that's always eluded them.
I've wanted to bring up my grades, like that's been my goal, and I've been saying that, but I just haven't been able to.
At the end of the term, it's time for Jordan Walker to see his report card.
Global studies, again, you had a C. Was that?
Well, I was hoping to be a little higher.
Geometry, math. You had a solid grade in that class, an A-, so.
I thought I was going to be one of the people that get out of high school not really caring of what's going to come at me. I was kind of stuck in like a rut and couldn't really get out.
Chemistry, a B+, and three-dimensional art, you had an A-. I think you're set up for more success, but you did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's not a perfect formula, but the boys are given the absolute tools, strategies, and techniques to go on into college and meet success.
Now I'm going somewhere. I'm out of the rut and onto, I guess you could say, some big open highway, just going into my future.
As our understanding of dyslexia grows, many are beginning to see it not as a learning disability, but as a learning difference.
If you're interacting with a lot of children in a school that are dyslexic, it's really hard to explain to them that you're disabled, you can't really do these things because your brain may not be functioning the proper way. It doesn't make any sense, because if you interact with them, you know that these are not defective kids.
I was traveling on the Gulf of Nowhere Land.
The Gulf of Nowhere.
We should be thinking more creatively about how to harness the talents and the productivity of kids who don't do all that well on testing.
Feudalism was based on giving my side. Patrick. Land.
And instead of conveying to them and their teachers that they're just failures, we should be thinking, okay, these kids are put together in a slightly different way.
Dyslexia has no cure or quick fixes, but it can be overcome.
The good news is dyslexics are achievers. They have persistence, and they learn how to get by on their wits.
What is the time limit then?
Well, Your Honor, if I were sitting in your chair, that would be a difficult question for me.
If you have patience and don't get discouraged, what you find is that dyslexia doesn't have to be a permanent obstacle.
Education is a do or die issue.
My mother always told me that I was just as smart as my sister, who always made great grades, but in a different way.
As scientists learn more about the causes of dyslexia, we are realizing an even greater capacity for the brain to change at any age.
Many people wouldn't give these people a second chance. They would think, well, they never learn to read, and they never will. But the important thing is that you can make gains. It's hard work getting there, but you can make gains.
These new findings are helping drive a revolution in reading instruction.
We have so much to gain and so little to lose by using what we know from research to screen the kids early, to intervene early.
Across North America, there are shining examples of what can be accomplished.
Most of my children went up 1 to 2 grade levels in 6 months. So imagine what we can do in a year.
The moment you help a child through their reading problems, you change their entire outlook on life, because now, all of a sudden, they have the key not just to decoding print, but also to access information.
As his great-grandmother told him, Adam will now tell us the story of the first people.
The fat cat had the jaw jam.
English was invented by people, not computers, and it reflects the creativity of the human race.
I went on a trip with my family to an island near Mexico.
Good. To understand what it means to speak both clearly and naturally, listen to the way newscasters read the news.
Once you learn how to read, you you good.
The idea that your child may be dyslexic can be overwhelming, but it's not time to worry. It's time to look for answers. To help us understand what we can do about dyslexia, we have two experts. Kathy Rose is a reading specialist from the Gow School, and Jose Cruz is the past president of the San Diego branch of the International Dyslexia Association. Well, Kathy, let's start with you. What can parents do when they think their child might be dyslexic?
Well, I think one of the first things a parent can do, Bruce, is get on their child's side. Oftentimes, a kid comes home from school with notes from the teacher. He's lazy, he's unmotivated, she's not working to her capability. And parents need to look at their child and really say to themselves, is this true of my child? Because I think all children want to succeed in the classroom.
It really is hard for parents to say to themselves, you know, maybe my child might have a problem with reading or with learning. But it doesn't hurt to find out and to look a little bit further and to start talking to teachers and even begin creating the beginnings of a partnership with the educators to help their child in the case that something is really wrong.
What can a parent do once they figured out we have a problem here? How do they work with the school?
Well, the first step is to approach the school. The parent needs to approach the school and say, we think there is a problem, a learning problem with our child, and we would like to have our child evaluated. Sometimes it needs to be done formally by a letter, and parents need to speak with the school and find out what the process is.
Jose?
And, you know, and we have this sense, and in certain cultures more than others, where parents aren't supposed to get involved with schools and teachers, and we just let them do their jobs. But any teacher will tell you that they need the parental support for that child to be able to succeed.
Now, what if you're not getting the help at the school you thought you were going to get?
Parents shouldn't assume that everything is going to go the way they'd like it to go. And there's certain ways that parents can hold schools accountable and basically let people know that they are paying attention to what's taking place. Parents should keep track of everything that happens in the course of their communications with the school professionals, with the teachers, and just keep anything, take notes, keep paperwork, keep track of dates, things that are agreed upon. Just really be on top of it, because it's going to take that much, in most cases, to get things done the way that we want them.
Now, the problem we have here is you really got to catch this early, because you don't want them to fall further and further behind, and the problem just gets worse and worse.
And we know that the research is saying early intervention is going to give dyslexic students their best chance at success.
Your child's now been tested. You find out that, okay, there is a problem. What's the next step?
Well, it's really important for parents to educate themselves about dyslexia. And there are many resources available to do that. So parents need to find out what it's all about, look at the research, read books, go on the web, and after that, they need to be able to understand what kind of instruction their child needs in reading. And it's going to be multisensory, structured phonics, and direct instruction and phonemic awareness. And these are all catchwords that seem really big and unfamiliar.
They were big to me. I thought they were pretty big, yeah.
They are, but if the parent really looks at the situation and informs themselves, then they know what they need to go to the school and request.
You know, Jose, we talked a lot about kids with dyslexia, but what about adults with dyslexia? I mean, are there programs out there for them?
There is. We're looking at an adult population in the United States, approximately 20% of the adults having minimal literacy skills. That's a lot of people. Our suspicion is somewhere near 65, 70% of them have learning disabilities, dyslexia, that has never been addressed. We have literacy programs out there. We train our volunteers. We have really good reading specialists who are using the techniques that work. You know, we say that in dealing with dyslexia, you need to get to it early. And so the adults that we're working with, they come in with a lot of baggage, a lot of history, and they've developed a lot of bad habits that have to be undone. But it's never too late, and there's help out there for them.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the list of dyslexic people who have done extremely well. It's like if it's taken away in one area in your life, it's given to you in another area. And your job is to find that other area. You know, I was lucky to find sports at a young age. And that took me out of my shell. That gave me self-esteem to go on the athletic field with these other guys who were good students and good readers. And that gave me my self-esteem, never knowing where I would take it. But I guarantee you that little dyslexic kid was always in the back of my head, outworking the next guy.
And we can't let the academic difficulties overshadow the rest of life. Yeah, parents need to really believe in their children and keep that self-esteem strong in their children.
And also keep expectations high, because these kids can do the work.
And parents, as much as we say you want to keep expectations high for your child, it's true also of the school. Parents should expect the best from their schools and work as a team, as a partner to achieve that.
All right, and wrapping this up, first of all, parents have to get involved. Celebrate the gifts of the kids. I mean, these are great kids with great talent. And also keep the expectations high. The kids can do the work. Kathy, Jose, thank you very much, and thank you for watching.
For more information, visit thinkbright.org.
So that is the rule. I have my king, a VCR king. You wrote this right. You have your concept. There you go, Kareem. What is it?
Oh, got him. Oh no, it's my turn now. Dude, ready?
Home again. Good job. You guys have great memories. That means you remember.
Major funding for this program has been provided by the Arison Family Foundation. Additional funding has been provided by the John R. O'Shea Foundation.